With the West's first winery created in San Diego, the population increased even more, especially during the Prohibition era. As more and more people arrived on the Transcontinental Railroad to get a taste of illegal alcohol, San Diego expanded. This was essentially the first stage of the resulting San Diego you are familiar with today, but the growth of San Diego did not stop there. In 1868, San Diego City Park was created to commemorate and continue San Diegan expansion and tourism.
San Diego City Park, otherwise known as Balboa Park, was created to commemorate the Panama, California Exposition and continues to be one of California's most historical tourist spots. Balboa Park began as 1,400 acres of land set aside in 1868 by San Diego civic leaders. Known then as City Park, just after the turn of the century, a master plan for park improvements and beautification was formally introduced. Supported by a city tax levied in 1905, the process began in 1903 and continued through 1910. Water systems were installed, planting continued, roads were built, and the park began to take on much of the familiar look of today. San Diego was set to play the host to the 1915 Panama, California Exposition. In 1910, park commissioners announced plans to rename City Park. After months of discussion and great public interest, the park commissioners decided on the name Balboa Park, chosen in honor of the Spanish-born Vasco Núñez de Balboa, the first European to spot the Pacific Ocean.
Balboa Park was, and remains, one of San Diego's most famous and largest centers for history. It is the perfect spot for history fanatics of all ages, or for people who just want to admire the beauty, especially tourists. In addition to recreating different aspects of history, San Diego has also brought maritime history back to life with the Star of India, the Midway, and the Californian opening to the public.
Euterpe, commonly known as the Star of India, was purchased in 1901. Due to its history, it has earned its status as San Diego Star and is a key tourist attraction and a key factor in San Diego's growth, even today. The Star of India was a full-rigged ship that sailed in the Isle of Man until her purchase in 1901 by Alaskan fishers. After her purchase, she made many disastrous voyages to India that often resulted in mutinies, collisions, and being caught in storms and ice. Due to the ship's unfortunate luck, she stopped being sailed as a fishing vessel and she began to be sailed as a simple cargo ship. Due to well maintenance, the ship is still active even 100 years later, thanks to San Diego's Maritime District.
Number of trips around the world with immigrants taking them from England to New Zealand. After making 21 trips around the world taking these immigrants down there, she was sold into a company that named its fleet Star of the subset, and this became the Star of India. And she continued her trade on until actually really early in the 20th century.
The Star of India is one of San Diego's most famous tourist attractions and contributes to the still massive amounts of tourism San Diego still has today. But many would argue that another ship, one that has made more tourism and carries more historical significance, is much more famous.
The Californian, the official tall ship of California, continues to be a trademark of San Diego throughout its 29 years of service. It is a popular tourist attraction for students, sailors, and history enthusiasts. The Californian was built in 1984 at Spanish Landing in San Diego Bay. Built for the Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles, the ship was named the official tall ship of California. It was built as a replica of the 1847 revenue cutter C.W. Lawrence and is well recognized by sailors.
The C.W. Lawrence, launched in 1848 on the East Coast, was the very first revenue and marine service cutter to come to California. Came here in 1849 during the Great Gold Rush. In late 1849, 1850, she was caught in a storm. She was anchored right off the mouth of the Golden Gate in San Francisco. She was washed ashore and she was lost on the beach and kind of lost to the memory of humankind until Steve Christman decided that he needed to create a program for the youth and the people of California for coastal awareness. He found the records, rebuilt the replica of the C.W. Lawrence.
Remains one of the tallest ships in San Diego and hosts many attractions for students and history lovers alike. While the Californian may be one of the tallest ships in San Diego, It cannot compare to the enormous size of the aircraft carrier, the Midway.
The first fleet carrier with the distinction to be named after a World War II battle, the USS Midway is now a floating museum hosting naval planes and historic artifacts. Built in 1942 and the largest ship in the world until 1955, the USS Midway served for 47 years before retiring in the San Diego harbor. This ship was used throughout the Vietnam War and the Persian Gulf flagship in 1991.
Put in commission in September of 1945, 10 days after the end of the war. It was named after the Battle of Midway, which was the Battle of Midway was fought June 4 to 6, 1942. And it destroyed 4 Japanese carriers at bombed Pearl Harbor. And it was the beginning of the end for the Japanese, that battle.
The Midway, a major benefit in fighting the Vietnam War, is now docked in San Diego, where it teaches students and tourists the amazing history of our county. Anchoring into land, there began the construction of historical sites in order to create remembrance of forgotten Western civilizations.
Old Poway Park, established in 1948 by settler and Army Colonel John S. Porter, served to revitalize Old Poway and make possible the lost enjoyment of old Western cultures. Historic buildings from around Poway were brought to the site and restored, including Poway's first Assembly Hall, the International Order of Good Templars Hall, and the Nelson House. The 2 existing buildings, the Porter House and the Hamburger Factory, were refurbished.
Of the Baldwin steam engine, as well as the relocating of several Old Western historical landmarks, Porter successfully continued to revitalize Old Poway and make possible the remembrance of lost Western cultures. San Diego is truly a remarkable county that was built from practically nothing. The Kumeyaay were our ancestors and were the first people here. The Spaniards, although they evicted the Kumeyaay from their home, essentially were the driving force to creating our modern San Diego. Their influence allowed us to grow, although it can be argued that the admittance of the Union in 1850 did a better job at helping us grow, as population helped our economy and our cities. But San Diego is also famous for bringing history alive. As you have seen, the historic and famous ships Californian, Midway, and Star of India allow us to experience life on the sea throughout the area of the Spaniards and the World Wars. But museums and recreated towns like those in Balboa and Old Poway Park and Old Town allow us to experience life firsthand through San Diego's early stages. San Diego is a modern city, yet unlike many, it is still in touch with its historical roots. You can see history wherever you go, whether it is in the city's architecture or in recreations of entire communities. History is never forgotten in San Diego, for we always have it around us. Hopefully other counties, cities, and even states follow in our footsteps, because preserving history is one of the greatest virtues. My name is Katie, and thank you for watching.